Welcome to Just Relationships, the show that offers you concrete ways to make your relationships better. Whether it's your boss, your spouse, your children, or your friends, the quality of your relationships in life directly affects how you feel about yourself and the success you achieve. Your host, Dr. Duffy Spencer, a psychotherapist, telecoach, author, and seminar leader, will interview top experts to help you learn to manage this essential part of your life. And now, here's your host, Dr. Duffy Spencer.
Greetings to you. Would you like to lead your life in a more authentic way? Would you like to feel more empowered to be fully you in your life? Would you like to have some tools and skills to help you navigate this stressful world that we live in, this very modern world that has high elements of competition and some polarization, some political polarization that we've been dealing with the last few years, and just looking at how you can have both authenticity and harmony and a sense of self-esteem, self-efficacy. Sounds good, huh? Well, if you're interested in any of the above, stay tuned because I'm very happy to welcome back my guest, David Schulman, who last week I interviewed him on his being an executive coach and what executive coaching is all about. And this week we're looking at the Gestalt Center of Long Island, which helps people be able to tap into their own authenticity and to live fuller and more whole lives. And David Schulman is a board member of the Gestalt Center of Long Island, as I am. And I want you to know, I have to confess, David and I are very, very good friends, and we met as fellow students of the Gestalt Center, I don't know, was it 12 years ago or something like that. So welcome back, David.
Great to be with you, Dr. Duffy. Thank you. Hello, listeners.
Yeah. Yes. So you and I found this thing, this Gestalt therapy thing, and all I knew about Gestalt therapy at the time was that it was very Esalen, it was Fritz Perls, it was the hippie movement, and Gestalt, I didn't know what it meant, but it sounded good, and it was, again, the sense of the full Gestalt, the wholeness of human beings, the humaneness, the whole psychology, the humanistic psychology movement, and really that's all I knew. And then I walked into this conference, this weekend conference, and it changed my life. I found the most vital people, the most vital, interesting community of people I had ever met in my life, and all I can say is I wanted more of it, David. I really wanted more of it. And I was already a psychotherapist, and but I wanted to enhance my skills, go even deeper with my clients, help them better. And I was planning to just learn everything there was to learn about Gestalt therapy in one weekend. And before the weekend was out, I said, I am going to sign up for this 3-year program, and I don't have the money and I don't have the time, but I'm going to somehow manifest it. And sure enough, I did. And it was such a wonderful 3 years of my life. And of course, I walked into my first official class, and there you were, sitting there. And so the rest is history, as they say. So what is your take?
Well, first of all, I'll confirm we're really great friends, and I think we got to be great friends by sharing that experience, and not just by being in the same place at the same time, but by witnessing each other's work and working together in our training in this most powerful way, which is Gestalt. So, I mean, I can echo just about everything that you said.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to me that the leap of faith that you took and the leap of faith that I took is really something that Gestalt therapy asks of clients while they're working on themselves as well. You know, it's a non-speculative kind of therapy.
Tell me what you mean.
Whereas a lot of therapeutic experience that people have had is very talk-centered, which has its value, which is important, and a great place to start. But the kind of approach that Gestalt takes, a present-centered experimentation kind of approach, where you really bring your significant aspects of self, the people who've shaped your life and influenced you, alive in the therapy setting, and work with them is extremely powerful. And there's no hiding.
No hiding. Yeah. And I just want to underscore the way you put that, David, that I think if we had met in any other circumstance, we still would have become friends. But there is something about the nature of a Gestalt therapy environment that what is so therapeutic about it, as you said, is the willingness to go deep and the willingness to bring out what Carl Jung, coined the term the shadow, to be vulnerable, to show that underneath these very well composed masks, these personas that we have, that there can be tumult. And it doesn't mean we're walking around in a tumultuous state, but it means that there are some wounds that haven't been healed necessarily. We call that unhealed childhood wounds, and that people often don't finish their childhood business of dealing with these wounds. They're not equipped. Children are not equipped to process all these things by themselves. And in my view, we live in a feeling-phobic society where people are afraid to have feelings. They're afraid to have painful feelings or feelings of anger that would cause more pain in others and fears. So they hide them, they submerge them, and they come out to bite us at very inopportune times.
There's always a price to walking around with unfinished business.
Well put. Always a price. And I know how Joyce Magid, who was the director of the Gestalt Center when you and I began, said to me during my graduation ceremony when I was, and you brought me the most beautiful flowers, and when she commented, because she introduced each of the graduating students, and she said she used to never cry, and now she cries at the drop of a hat. And, just the idea of, and those tears could be tears of joy as well, just the idea of being more real, more expressive, more spontaneous.
Yeah, we don't want to suppress what's happening with us in terms of our entire portfolio of experience. The stuff that's contributed to our joy and to our well-being, we're not particularly reluctant to let that out most of the time, I think. Although, it varies from person to person, but I think we all get afraid of the dark emotions.
Yeah.
And the thing about the dark emotions is they're going to find a place to park. Mm-hmm. It's energy. And there's a lot of science on this now.
Yeah.
And if we don't find a way to express what has wounded us and what we travel with appropriately, it can make us ill.
Yeah.
But at the very least, it can hobble our experience of being. It can hobble relationship. It can roadblock novelty, in which we all crave. So this way of working with not only the dark emotions, but most particularly the dark emotions, is a really fantastic way to bring this stuff alive, give it a place to go.
Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah, I just want to underscore the point about if we suppress all of our feelings, wouldn't it be convenient if we could just suppress because they get in our way, they're messy somehow, the dark emotions, and then allow for the positive ones to come forth. But that's not the way it works. If we suppress, we wind up suppressing all of our emotions, including our joy. And what was that movie? That movie about the different parts, and there was joy and there was sadness. Oh, it was I can't believe I can't remember the name of it. Joy and sadness, and the little girl was Riley, and oh my word, I can't. I'm sure our listeners are yelling the movie to me right now.
I can't remember it either.
Yeah, but you know the movie I'm talking about.
I believe I do.
Right. So it was, and of course, anger. So we have these basic core emotions, and we suppress one, we suppress them all. I like how you put a place to park. If we don't give them a place to park, if we don't acknowledge them, that feelings are energy, and hobble. We wind up hobbling. That's a great word, David. Hobbling through life.
At the very least.
Yeah.
If we're lucky, the intensity of these emotions does not kickstart a disease process.
Right.
It's a very, very real and founded possibility.
Right.
For very strong, very dark emotions that you don't find a way to work with.
Yeah. And in the whole field of positive psychology, they have now done so many neuroscience experiments and brain science, and just literally showing the positive impact on the brain of meditating, of just being able to tell the truth, being real. And we call it kind of exploding into the self. And I just want people to know that I'm interviewing David Schulman, who is a board member of the Gestalt Center of Long Island, as I am, and that we are both graduates of the Gestalt Center of Long Island. And the Gestalt Center of Long Island, which is located in Huntington, is a training center for Gestalt therapists. Now, most people who come as students are already therapists, and they are looking to expand their repertoire, adding another modality. And the Gestalt is really so all-encompassing and so real, and it's grounded in, as you said earlier, one's actual current experience. Rather than just talking from the top of your head, it's bringing people down, dropping down into their body, and just noticing that they have a body. You know, by the time we're adults, we are so trained to cut off our body below the neck. Okay, once in a while we visit our genitals, but for the most part, people are not embodied. They don't live in their bodies. We have learned to numb ourselves out. And the people that I met when I was a student, and the new students, I watch them literally transform. They become much more real, much more vital, more vivacious, more joyful, spontaneous, just everything. And the quality of relationship is so excellent. What is your take on that, David?
You can't help but awaken if you undergo this process. And I don't want to say surrender to it, but if you are willing to let your therapist guide you through what we call experiments, which are unconventional in terms of the quote-unquote normal therapeutic experience, which is very talky. And again, not to put that down or devalue it, because it has great value. But I don't know that there's another therapeutic modality that goes as deeply and makes so much profound change a possibility as Gestalt in the time that you spend doing it.
So I just am listening with a third ear and saying, what on earth are our listeners thinking when we talk about unconventional experiments? So let me just give a very simple example. It would be one of my relatively new clients came in and she really was talking for the most of the time with her hand over her mouth. And I said, I just simply pointed it out to her. And she said, oh, and she immediately put her hand away. And I said, no, that's not necessary. That's not what it's about. I'm just curious. What is, your hand saying to your mouth? What is this about? And of course, it was around how she wasn't allowed to talk. She was constantly put down. She was told that she was an accident and that she was an unhappy accident and that her parents had to marry because of her, and they were very unhappily married. So she's dealing with a lot of sadness and, of course, hurt and anger around that. And how do we embody the stories that we hold in our minds, and then how do we change that story? How do we change that narrative?
Right. So this is not new agey at all. Mm-hmm. Although I believe Gestalt therapy, I know Gestalt therapy to be very eclectic from a wide number of disciplines, and it did really emerge in the 60s. Am I right, Dr. Duffy?
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you. And although there are things that I think the public at large has heard about Gestalt therapy, perhaps that seem new agey, reference the empty chair exercise, for one. If you will simply make room for the idea that the body has a vocabulary all its own and it's speaking to us all the time, then you can make some great gains in terms of understanding yourself and getting to the root of the things that interfere with your best life.
Yes, yes. And so who do we put in that empty chair? Figuratively, we can put a parent who has passed. We can put a part of ourself, like our 4-year-old self, and we can have a dialogue with either another person or with our part of ourselves. I've even asked people to put God in the chair. I'm mad at God. God took my husband away from me, and God is mean. And, oh, so you're angry with God. Oh, no, I can't be angry with God. He or she is God. Well, I guess you are. And guess what? God can handle all of your feelings. So whatever one's version of a God is, even to dialogue with God in an empty chair.
Yeah, this is really it's talked about as psychodrama.
Yes.
But really there's no acting involved. I mean, right. I think through any therapeutic modality, you can reach what feel like dramatic moments. Mm-hmm. If you will willingly participate in the variety of approaches that will get you talking with these aspects of self, with these persons who have influenced your being and your behavioral system. So much to be gained.
Yeah. And again, the unconventional experiments. I want to give some examples of that because it can sound a little off, a little off base, and so we're so used to therapy being kind of a talking therapy. So going back to this client with her hand in front of her mouth, of course she had so much to say about that, and I asked her, keep your hand in front of your mouth and talk, and let's see what that is. Okay, now take your hand away and let's see what that is like. Or if someone else is slumping in the chair, and I would notice, I see that you're slumping. Yes, and immediately sitting up straight. No, I'm just wondering about your slump and what that's saying. What is your body saying by slumping that way? And then the same kind of experiment. Well, just slump again and see what that's like and what your body is saying and what it feels like. And okay, sit up. And what is that like? And, I have more of a backbone. Yeah, you do. What is that like? So it's that kind of playing with the imagination, if you will, and making notice of things that people wouldn't necessarily notice because it's not polite even. Another one of my clients is a very beautiful young woman in her mid-20s, and she is a beautiful face and very shapely, and she came in and she was wearing a top that showed some cleavage, and she was wearing a sweater over it. And during the whole session, or not the whole session because I intervened, but she would constantly take her sweater and pull it around her, and then she'd relax and it would open, and you would see a little cleavage, and then she'd close it again, and she did this for a while, and I commented to her about it, and of course a whole conversation ensued about her sexuality and her shame of her own sexuality, her being shamed, her hiding herself, and these two parts, the one that shrouded herself in a sweater and the one that showed cleavage, and these were two different parts of her, and they were actually being acted out in front of me, and it was only the second session that I did this and talked to her about it, so I was really taking a big risk, and she was at first embarrassed, and it was a lot for her, but she came back in the third session and she was so thrilled. She had learned so much about herself, and she came and she was wearing a beautiful outfit that did not show cleavage and no sweater, and she was just holding herself so proudly. So it was a wonderful thing to behold, to see someone really transform in that way in such a short time. And of course, that's just one. I'm just wanting to give examples of what we mean by
that
experiments.
Sounds like great therapeutic leadership there. Because I tell you all the time, I hold you in really high esteem as a therapist, and anybody who knows any of your clients knows this as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I'm sorry, David, I just want to give the location of the Gestalt Center of Long Island.
Okay, yeah, I was going to ask you to give the website out to any social workers, creative art therapists, mental health counselors, psychologists that are listening so they could check us out, or anyone looking for a Gestalt psychotherapist to look at the website for that resource. We do have a list of certified Gestalt therapists.
Yes, so the phone number, I'll just give the phone number as well, is 631-692-4254. That's 631-692-4254, the Gestalt Center of Long Island. And so what would the website be?
GCLI.org.
Okay.
GCLI.org.
Okay.
We've got great course offerings for working professionals who want to delve into the experience of bringing Gestalt into their practices.
Yes, and so the offerings are, as you said, David Schulman, and by the way, I want to give your number again because your practice these days is for executives. So would you just give your number?
Sure, you can reach me. Thank you. 631-673-3027, or on the web at dbsyouandco.com. dbsyouandco.com. Thank you, Dr. Duffy.
Oh, you're so welcome. So the Gestalt Center of Long Island, gcli.org. The number is 631-692-4254. And as David said, we are offering training. We are offering either the full 3-year training to become a certified Gestalt therapist, and or the individual courses, which are basically one-day courses, either an afternoon, either a half a day or a full day course at very reasonable fees, where you would get your CEUs, which healthcare professionals need to get ongoingly anyway. And of course, that number will be good for you to contact a Gestalt therapist. And if you would like to contact me, my number is 516-334-8985. That's 516-334-8985. And you would also find me on the web, drduffy.com, DRDUFFY, drduffy.com. So let me see. I'll just say the number one more time. Well, the website for the Gestalt Center of Long Island.org, and the phone number 631-692-4254. And David, thank you. I have to close.
My pleasure to be with you. Thank you so much. Thank you, listeners.
Much. Thank you. And this is Dr. Duffy Spencer saying goodbye for now and wishing you great relationships.